Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and I'm with Retail Insider. Joining me today is Scott Arsenault, who is the CEO of Rens Pets. Thanks for joining us today, Scott.
Happy to be chatting with you again, Mario, always.
All right, super. Let's talk about Rens Pets and your expansion. I understand you've been opening up some new stores. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so you know what? Let's go back a little bit in time. I started over 10 years ago with Rens at 3 stores. There is a Ren. Ren is still around, but he's no longer directly with the company. And we're going to be up to 44 stores this year. But something really exciting happened last year amidst COVID. We were purchased by a Canadian company out of Montreal called the Legault Group. And I like to say we were like orphans, and we found a really good family to grow with.
Okay, let's talk first of all, before I want to talk to you a little bit more about the Legault group, but just a little bit about the openings. Can you tell me how many stores have, have you opened so far this year and into the near future?
Okay, so tomorrow is going to be store number 1 in Orillia. I'm heading out there. We got the mayor coming. We're doing a ribbon cutting in Orillia. So that'll be the first one, but we're opening 3 in the next 30 days. So we're going to open Thunder Bay, which is going to be a great market, and Stouffville. Then we're going to be on to Niagara Falls and Newmarket very shortly. So in the next kind of 2 months, we'll probably have close to 5 stores open this year.
Okay, and just to let our guests know, by the time this airs, the store in Orillia will be open already. Okay.
Yeah, no April Fool's joke. So April 2nd, it's going to be opening. Yes.
Okay, super then. So in terms of the numbers, Scott, where do you see the company going in terms of getting bigger in the market?
So we're Ontario and the Maritimes, and we've mapped out how we would go across Canada. So we will be a national retailer in short order. And I think that's what's important to understand about when we got purchased by the Legault Group. They have 75 pet stores in Quebec called Mondieu. And they were trying to figure out what would their retail growth look like. And the way we've decided on it is Rens will be the brand outside of Quebec. So we will be the brand to take them in the Maritimes. We'll probably have 10 to 12 there. We only have 4 there right now. We're opening a 5th. We're going to have 44 overall. Ontario could be as many as 75. And we've already kind of mapped out how we would go west.
All right, super. Then when do you expect to come out west?
I keep saying that. The real estate guys keep calling me, and there's just so much opportunity within Ontario still. And really, we wanted to make sure we grow from a position of strength. They've got a great leadership team now that I think is well-rounded. We wanted to make sure we had the next level of leaders that can kind of extend the brand. When we were at store number 12, we went to Ottawa, and that was 500 kilometers away. So you know, I had been to Ottawa a lot as a kid, class trips, but I hadn't been there as an adult in a long time. And what a great market it is. You know, over 1 million people, a lot of pet owners, great demographics. And what we decided was we needed a person to go out there and extend the brand and take our carryout culture and our core values. And we had that person put up her hand. She opened up our first store. And quickly she's opened up 4 in the Ottawa market, plus Kingston, Peterborough, Belleville, and kind of rounding it out, but still more work to do out there. So to get back to kind of the West, you want to make sure you have those people that can take what we think is really critical to our success here and make sure we transfer it to a new market that's going to be not hundreds of miles away, now thousands and, you know, provinces away.
So what is that then? What is the key things that are critical to your success?
Well, our number 1 core value, and we did this with Simon Sinek's kind of, you know, guidance, not directly, but we wanted to figure out what our why was. And our why, we had been kind of doing it, but it was, we're here for your pet's best life. And the number 1 thing that pet owners are concerned about, the toys and treats will take care of themselves if you take care of the diet. You've got to get the diet right. So we're really we focus on that assortment, and that's critical. And we curate that, make sure we have all the best products in our stores for the pet owners so that their pets are going to have their best life. And with that, you know, once we've secured that, we want to make sure we take our carry-out culture, we call it. Every night, my executive team gets texts from every store. And one of the critical things we get, and we have BI reports and we have lots of dashboard, but we get a text on how the sales were this year. But the one critical thing we look at is how many carry-outs they did to the consumer's car. Now, that was hard during COVID. Obviously, a lot of people didn't want it or we couldn't do it. but we're back on that now. We measure that by store, by month, by quarter, how many carryouts we're doing. So we call it the carryout culture, and that's just one example, but that's kind of what we're trying to extend when we open new stores.
So what is the significance of that, and why is that important, the carry out culture?
Well, I just spoke with the person we hired for our Stouffville manager, and I said to him, I said, Kyle, the thing I want you to approach when you're approaching how you run your Stouffville store, it's Kyle's Rens Pets. So he's working now in our Aurora store, and he goes, Scott, I'm carrying out every bag of big dog food I can, and I'm having conversations with customers about their pets, their family, how long they've shopped with us. And I think that's what somebody, you know, even though we have the benefits of being a corporate company where we control the message, the assortment, the look, the feel, we get great leverage on digital advertising. We let our managers become owner operators, get involved in their community, their rescues, their local humane societies, and with their customers. And carrying out is just kind of that simple way, taking your groceries to the car. I think it's a little bit old school, but it differentiates.
Yeah, it certainly does. Tell me a little bit about the stores themselves. How have they evolved over time, and what's in the stores?
Well, when I started back at store number 3, we still sold salt cubes. We still had hay and straw. We were Ren's Farm and Feed originally back in Oakville over 47 years ago. So a lot of people knew us as that one store that had been around for a long time. And I remember having the conversations about not selling, you know, as much birdseed or hay or straw, or discontinuing those SKUs, and really figuring out where we wanted to be great at. And we looked at it and we said, we're most passionate about dog and cat. We think we can be great at dog and cat, and we think we can, you know, be profitable at dog and cat. So that's where we really started to focus all of our energy. And I can remember walking in, and it was a really kind of this watershed moment into our Whitby store. And we had birdseed, big bags up at the front, and we had bird feeders and maybe some horse products or something like that. I thought that we shouldn't be leading with these products. And that was and by the time we got to Ancaster, store number 12, 13, we had shifted our mindset and made sure that, you know, it was dog and cat first when you walked into our store. And one of the things you'll see now is we are a leader in raw, which is the fastest growing category for frozen dog food and cat food for pet owners. And if you walk into our stores, you're going to see those right up front, 16-door freezers. We have 20 in Oakville, and we're very close to having retrofitted all of our 44 stores by the end of this year. So all the new ones have them, and all the old ones will be retrofitted. So that's distinctly when you walk into our store. If you were 8 years ago, you would have saw a much different Rens.
Yeah. What about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to recall seeing something that a store has like a bath, a pet bath area, or a wash area type thing. Is that in like a growing number of stores, or maybe you can talk a little bit about that and any other kind of quote unquote amenities that are in stores?
Yeah, so you know what? We put it in 2 stores as a test, and we've stopped it. And one of the big thing is we're big on partnerships, and we're the #1 supplier of grooming products in Canada, professional grade. So I like to say you can shop where the groomer shops. So we have the big gallon shampoos, the 41 ratios, the high-end clippers and shears. And we thought we'd do a wash, but it's really not what we can be great at. We want to have that assortment in the stores for the pet parents. There's lots of great groomers out there, you know, and we don't train in our stores, we don't board in our stores, and we don't have any live animals. So we tested it because I think every retailer is always challenged with, you know, try something new, different, but it's really not something that we think going forward is going to be kind of one of the key pieces for us. We're going to provide the diet, we're going to provide the fun, and we're going to be continually innovating. You know, when I started, we had double door freezers, just little 4-foot walk-in freezers that really can't carry a lot of inventory. Now our 20-door, 16-door freezers, they're like about 20 times more in capacity because, you know, they have the backs area within them. So something like that, I'm glad you picked up on it, because a lot of retailers struggle and they want to add a lot of these kind of amenities. But for Rens, we've decided we're just going to put a stake in the ground, and that won't be a piece going forward.
Okay, super. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, some of the things you did ask though in the stores, like we have scales in our stores. So people can come in for free and weigh, and we have a digital monitor, and we have the freezer sections, personalized engraving. So it's really important they can come in and get some of this personalized stuff. So we've tried to meet the consumer that way. But as far as services, I think we're going to leave it to the experts.
All right, super. Can you talk a little bit about the past 2 years and the pandemic? And I know I recently did a story on one of your competitors and how much growth they've experienced. What has it been about the pandemic that has fueled, I guess, the growth in the pet industry?
So we kind of knew that, one out of two households had a pet before that, but we've seen, even that accelerated, and 20% of families have gotten another pet. And the numbers, I think, are going to just be off the charts when we get out and record it. And I think the work from home, obviously pets are adding comfort and they're great for lifestyle. I think everybody's trying to eat better, be healthier. Pets are a big part of that. You're walking, you're interacting with them. We got a new puppy at Christmas and she got sick the other day and we ended up in an emergency care. And my wife's like, it's amazing how quickly they can attach to your heart. And we can't think about life without her. So
Yeah.
I think people just accelerated that and having that time. And what we did see throughout that is one of the categories that went up was grooming, because there was a lot of home grooming, which is a great activity. You're not an actual professional groomer, but in between the grooms, you can, interact with your pet and keep them really healthy. We saw a lot more toys and treats at a higher level being sold because there was a lot more interaction and playtime. So we saw people really interacting with their pets more. And even so with cats. I saw the humanization of dogs when I came to Rens over 10 years ago, but now we're seeing cats as not that secondary pet that just upstairs and sits in the sun. We're seeing people that maybe don't have the luxury of having a dog, really interacting with their cats. They're getting more toys for their cats. They're spending way more time, harnesses, they're walking them, leashes. So we're seeing kind of cats that follow that lead of dogs.
That's interesting. Any other trends you're seeing in the industry?
The biggest one really is in diet and humanization, and we saw that crossover to raw, but then even more so in that category, there's gently cooked, there's freeze dried. There really seems to be this thirst for consumers to figure out the best nutrition for their family and their pet.
Okay, then. Now, I'm just curious in terms of the stores themselves. Do you cater beyond cats and dogs? What else would you cater to?
Yeah, we have small animal, we have fish, we have aquatics. I wouldn't say we're the leader in that category, but we do want to make sure we have the top SKUs for fish feeding and animal. We have a lot of hay and different straws and stuff like that, and just enough to get you by. But we wouldn't necessarily have the extension that some of the other retailers would have.
Oh, okay, super. And maybe go back in time for me, Scott. Tell me the history of the company and where's Ren's come from?
Yeah, so there is a Ren, like I said, he used to live in Burlington. He just moved to Guelph. He's the founder, the patriarch. Him and his wife, Sharon, they've gone through some really weird stories over the years where their first location burnt down and they had to rebuild it. And so I think every, great company has a history, but I can remember hearing other people say like our overnight success took 45 years, and it really did take, to get to store number 2, we built a distribution center in Guelph where our head office is. And we got to store number 3 in Kitchener, and we kind of were there and we were building all of our stores. But what was critical for the acceleration of Rens is we started to lease some property. So we were in a build and own strategy, which is great. It's great for investment. It's great for control long term, but it's slow. It takes a lot of capital, and you got to go through a lot of hoops to get, a store off the ground in cities like Burlington and Whitby. So we took some time to say, how can we grow faster? And when we started leasing and getting in really high dense areas and malls, we saw that, this is the way forward. So that's kind of been the model that's accelerated from those first, 45 years of really looking at it and building out the Rens name, and now accelerating it much quicker.
Oh, interesting. Well, thanks very much, Scott, for joining us today.
Yeah, it's always great talking. You guys do a great job at Retail Insider. A lot of fun, Mario.
Thank you very much for that. That was Scott Arsenault, CEO of Rens Pets. I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Retail Insider. Thanks for joining us today.